Okay, we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to Get Motivated with Lauren and Randy. I'm Randy Karcher in North Potomac, Maryland, the DC area.
And I'm Lorin Nicholson from Brisbane, Australia, on the south side of the planet. So great to be back with everyone again. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
We got something really interesting last week, Randy. You and I were talking a little bit about ourselves and some of our background. Of course, you've been a health coach for some years now, and I've been working as a remedial therapist for 30 years as well. So, we've had involvement with hundreds and in fact thousands of people that are trying to improve their health, and that can be achieved in a number of different ways. And sometimes it can be a bit of a struggle, can't it,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
people?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I was going to just suggest to people really is to keep it pretty simple. And one great thing you can do is just keep moving. Just keep your body moving. And sometimes, particularly now during this COVID time, we've put on a few COVID pounds or COVID kilos. It hasn't been kind to some of us. And so you may want to drop a few pounds, or in our case in Australia, a few kilograms. You guys have got the benefit over there in America. You know why?
Tell me.
Because if you drop like 22 pounds, it's like, wow, that's 22. That's huge. That's only 10 kilograms. And so it sounds like you guys are doing better than us, but
It's
10
all relative.
kilos
Yeah,
and 22 pounds is the same.
yeah,
So
exactly.
anyway, that's just a bit of trivia for everybody. But what I want to say though is that we want to lose a few of that, and just help our general, our back, our hips, knees, shoulders, our body, and particularly when you're in a sedentary job as well, is just to get out and make sure you're doing a bit of walking. If maybe you're carrying a few extra pounds and you need to, um, um, a bit difficult doing that physical work, well, one of two things there: just shorten up your distance, just walk for 50 yards or 100 yards, and start from there and build up. Don't try to run a marathon in the first week. Or if that's still a struggle, try a different kind of exercise, and maybe it's just doing a little bit of swimming, which is a lot less weight bearing on your body, particularly if you're carrying a bit of weight and the knees might be feeling it, or maybe even a little bit of cycling or something else. But one of those three exercises is generally pretty good and can be taken at a pace that will suit your situation. So you can take it really easy, or you can step it out and get a little bit of huff and puff happening as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah, and it doesn't just help you with managing a bit of weight and keeping moving, but it also helps your mental health as well. So all of those things are really helpful.
yeah. Uh, I uh, I had an injury on my fingers, and so I worked with a physical therapist. I learned a lot from them, and also another physical therapist that I was able to coach actually for some weight loss a few years ago. And I learned that for every extra pound, I don't know how that translates to kilos, but for every extra pound of weight you have on your body, it's 4 pounds of pressure on your joints. So that's huge. Somebody being able to shed even 5, 10 pounds makes a big difference on people's joints. And I love what you said, Lauren, about the different types of movement. And just moving every day is an important thing. So many of us are sitting so much, sedentary, not just because of COVID, but maybe our jobs, we have to sit a lot during the day. So if you can get up and move around, that's going to help. From my standpoint as a coach, I've been coaching for about 12 years now. And what we found is that 80 to sometimes 85% of getting to a healthy weight is what you put in your mouth. So the movement thing is so important, but so many people try to out exercise, maybe not the best eating plan. And you can't, the saying that I heard, which I always get a kick out of it, you can't outrun your fork. So it's so important to learn how to maybe approach eating just a little bit differently. And there's a lot of different scientific methods to eating, and you have to sort of find what's best for you. But what's worked for so many of my clients personally, and what worked for me, about 12 years ago, I lost 50 pounds. And it made such a difference in my life. What we found is that eating more often throughout the day can help, especially if you have things like diabetes. Uh, Most often, your doctor will suggest that you eat more often, every 2.5 to 3 hours. So what we found is that if we can eat with a protein carb balance in mind, so that your blood sugar doesn't spike all the time, and eat more often every 2.5 to 3 hours, you're going to feel better. And one of the natural things that starts happening with your body not holding on or having starvation mode because it's not sure when it's going to get fueled. Because a lot of us like to think, well, if I don't eat all day and I just eat one time, then I'm eating less calories. But what happens is that we're starving by the time we get to that meal, and we overeat. And so our body's kind of going, well, I'm not really sure when this guy is going to eat next, so I'm going to store up some stuff to make sure that he's taken care of. So if we can eat more often throughout the day, keep carbs and proteins in mind, if you can kind of have a good amount of protein and kind of watch your carbs. Here's something that I tell my clients as well. So to eat with this in mind, higher fiber, higher protein, less carbs and less fat. If you can kind of think like that a little bit and think with that balance in mind, and like maybe start eating a small meal, smaller, like less calories, keeping that protein carb balance in mind an hour after you eat for your first one, 2.5 hours to 3 hours later, mid-morning, eat something, and then have a healthy, sensible lunch. And then about 2.5, 3 hours later, eat a mid-afternoon snack. Then maybe have your lean ingredient, your tea, at night, and then maybe have something else small after that, a couple hours later, so that you're eating about 5 or 6 times a day. We found that that really helps our clients to move forward, and in lots of ways, the eating plan can kind of do the heavy lifting for the weight loss process. So you can't, uh, you got to have both. You got to have some movement and you got to eat right. But what we found is that more of it is what you put in your mouth. You got to move too, but a lot of people can't really move as much until they start feeling better by eating better,
Yeah.
kind of eating for inflammation. Keep that in mind. And as they start feeling better, then they feel like walking. You just start with baby steps, walking or a little swimming or something like that. So anyway, that's just some tips. When I was in Australia 4 years ago and got to hang out with you guys, Lorin, my wife and I, there were plenty of things that I could find at the local grocery store to have that protein carb balance. And I loved shopping at Woolies or Woolworths, and found lots of things that had a really good balance. And Australia is really good, like the United States, as far as keeping um, all the information on the food packaging, what the nutritional
Yeah.
information is, so you can sort of
Yeah.
look at that. So anyway, I
And,
love it.
and what's interesting I found, Randy, is when it's the first or second time you go down to the supermarket that you that's the most not difficult. It's kind of exciting actually. You're reading all the packets and working out which one, and you'll be surprised some of the stuff you've been putting in your mouth, and you think, "Wow, I didn't realize it was that bad." Even having a muesli bar, you think, "Oh, well, that's healthy. It's got to be healthy. It's a muesli bar,"
Right,
and you realize, hang on, this thing's loaded up with like 48 grams of sugar, and
right,
and so it's like you look around at some of the other packages and you realize, oh, hang on, this one's a bit better. It's only got 23 grams of sugar and it's got 16 grams of protein. And so, wow, that's probably the one I should be eating. And I remember you gave me that advice, Randy, a couple of years ago. I can't remember the year. I think it might have been 2015. Yeah, it was. It was
yeah,
2015.
you
You and
came
I,
to visit us in Nashville. That's right.
we came to visit you in Nashville, and you taught me about this stuff. And so I just want to mention this for the benefit of everyone listening is I put this to the test, and Randy, you know, provided us with some of the food items and meals that he was eating, and I was amazed at how we'd be getting halfway through the day or a few hours later, and you say, "Hey, Lorin, it's time to eat," and I'm like, "What? I'm not even really hungry." And and so that balance within the diet, you'll be surprised at how, firstly, you won't have those cravings that you normally have, mostly because you're eating way too much sugar.
Right.
But but you find those items like, whether it's a piece of whole grain toast with an egg on it, or a muesli bar that's kind of almost like half protein, half carbohydrate, and low fat. Because what happens, and I did nutrition as part of my studies too, Randy, the first thing that your body burns is sugar. and it burns it pretty quick. And then after that half an hour, it's kind of like, okay, what next?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you've got nothing next apart from sugar, well, it's going to be like, oh, well, hang on, we need another sugar hit. And so you go back looking for the next Tim Tam.
Yeah.
Do you have Tim Tams over there?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I love those. Yeah.
They're a bit of a hit, the
Yeah.
Tim Tam, the chocolate biscuits and that. But what I'm saying is, you're always looking for that next bit of sugar. But what happens is if you eat something with protein as well, it burns the sugar off first. So that gives you the immediate sort of, fuel supply. But
Right.
once that starts to become a little bit exhausted, then the protein kind of kicks in for the next hour. And so
Right.
next minute you're going for a couple of hours and you're like, I don't need any more food. I actually feel quite satisfied because your body has a fuel source that it can actually use and feel very satisfied for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, only 2.5 hours later, it's like, oh, I feel a little bit hungry now. Let's have a snack.
Yeah.
And
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 the
that's
idea is that when you have that with a good protein balance, it kind of pads down the sugar spikes. Your blood sugar doesn't go like this, crazy all the time. Because when it's spiking like that all the time, you're always craving something sweet. But if your body is starting to burn fat, and it takes a few days to sort of get into that fat burning state, but if you can get it there, and that's what we help our clients with, then your body's used to seeing it get fuel. Sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Your body gets used to being fueled or fed every 2.5 to 3 hours, so it doesn't hold on to stuff. So if you can get it to start burning some fat, then your body's being a lot more efficient. But that depends, on a health assessment. We talk to people and find out what they need, and also plug them into their doctor if they have a lot of certain types of medical conditions or medications and stuff like that. They really need to talk to their doctor anyway. In fact, I'll say that we always recommend you talk to your healthcare professional before you start any type of program. But it's so important to find out what people want to do, what they want to create. And somebody needing to lose 5 pounds is just, and they've been trying to lose it for 10 years. That's just as big of a deal as somebody who needs to lose 100 pounds that has been trying the same amount of time. So it doesn't matter. It's all relative. The idea is if you can be really close to being under that 25 body mass index, that's where doctors say that's what's considered healthy. So
yeah,
anyway, these are some great suggestions, I think, that we both shared here.
yeah, yeah. And you know what, Randy? Can I just point out too? So often we put too much weight, and excusing the pun,
Yeah,
we put too much weight on the scales. Like we measure our success by what those scales are telling us. And, there are many, many other ways of measuring your success which have got nothing to do with what the scales are telling you. And it might be just you're fitting into a smaller dress or a smaller pair of pants or shirt. And yet the scales might not say anything that week, but yet your belt line is telling you that you're getting better, and maybe you walked a little bit further this week, and so
yeah,
your health is improving. So don't let the scales discourage you. Use a few different measuring sticks to guide your way. To measure your success, and you'll find that you'll have success in a few different areas. And this week it might be the scales, and next week it might be what you're wearing, and the week after it might be how much easier it is to move. The next week it might be, what, I actually don't feel quite as depressed or stressed, or I'm sleeping better nowadays, or my overall health is kind of improving, my quality of life is improving. Use all of those things as a measuring stick.
absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that because it's about the non-scale victories. We recommend to our clients that they weigh once a week. That's just one of the many, like you said, ways to measure how you're doing. It's like you said, how your clothes are fitting. It's the inches that you've lost. If you're losing inches, or I don't know what you guys is it centimeters or whatever you
Yeah, centimeters.
there in Australia. If you're losing centimeters or inches, you are losing, no matter what the
Yeah,
scale says, because the scale can go up or down depending on, maybe you breathe weird, or you had an extra glass of water or something, before you weighed. So there's so many ways to determine. The other thing is how you're feeling, your energy level as well. Excuse me, your outlook on life. If you're tired all the time, or if you're not tired. If you're not tired, as you're eating better, people find that they don't need that pick me up in the afternoon as much. So anyway, these are some great suggestions I think that we both shared today. But again, always talk to your healthcare professional and find what's going to work best for you. These are just some suggestions that we've been able to help other people with. So anything else you want to add, Lauren, before we say goodbye?
No, Randy, I think we've done enough. Like we want to just keep this a bit simple, but something that we know does work.
Yeah,
And the theme of this is about getting motivated, and a part of staying motivated is is to have a healthy body. Don't let food dictate what your life, the quality of your life. You know, um,
right.
and you will feel better. You'll feel more motivated and more self motivated when you take a little more control over your health and fitness. And we hope those simple tips that we've shared today really do work for you. And if you stick to that, I reckon you'll notice within a week or two, already you'll notice that, hey, I'm feeling better, and
Yeah.
hey, I'm losing a couple of pounds or a kilo. And
Absolutely. It's about baby stepping your way into success. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, if you think about it, people who have gained 50 pounds, you know, they don't realize that it took them a while to gain that 50 pounds. So don't expect that you're going to be able to lose it overnight. But you're just concentrating on it more, so it feels like it's taking longer. So don't give up. Baby step your way into it. Our goal every week, folks, is first of all, thanks for joining us today. Our goal every week is just to offer a few tips and suggestions, things that we've found that help people, and to get you motivated to want to make changes to your life, because it's not just your physical health, it's also about your mental health as well. And we'll talk about that some more in the next few weeks. So thanks for joining us today at Get Motivated with Lauren and Randy. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.
thanks so
Great.
much. Yeah, see you next time.